What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode, I believe, 4 of the Growth Genesis podcast. We are your hosts, Paul and Dan. And
Yeah.
in this episode, we've been talking about struggles that we've had in the past with our businesses, and kind of getting started. But in this episode, I think we're probably going to take a turn more towards discussing things that helped us when we were working on getting businesses started, or like in the beginning stages of learning how to run an actual business. And so in this episode, we're going to be talking about mentorship and just why that matters so much.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Dan?
Yeah. Well, it's been a good week so far for me at least. I just want to kind of give us some current events here. At least
Yeah,
what's going on with us. Started running some Facebook ads. I know I said about 2 episodes ago, I believe, that I was going to start doing that. So I finally was bit the bullet. Since I never done them before, I was expecting them to be mad expensive. But truthfully, if you're doing high ticket stuff and you really don't need to close that many clients to make a lot of money, it's actually not too bad. Definitely my engagement is not as good as it should be, but I think it was bigger just to start, and not just I don't know, maybe when I'm good at ads, you'll never get good at ads if you don't try it. So, we're doing all right, but that's what's going on with me. And Paul, I heard that you landed a YouTube sponsorship here
I
this
did.
last week. So,
I
how
did
about you
indeed.
give some people a little bit of details? Also, if you guys don't know already, Paul is running a YouTube channel known under Paul Strople, Strople. That's
We can link the channel in the YouTube description.
Yeah. We'll leave
For those,
the more. I think what we should do is put our personal stuff also on our link tree, so you guys can actually get a better idea of who we are rather than just what the channel is. So
but yeah, that's a good idea.
he does an excellent job. You guys should definitely go check out, subscribe, and see what value you can also get from Paul's side of his cinematic and aesthetic videos. So
Cinematic and aesthetic. Well, I'm working on it. For those of you interested, I run a photography and cinematography YouTube channel. Have been for the last several years, although I kind of took a gap year from it. Came back, trying to hit it hard this year. Well, last year. I can't keep forgetting we're in February 2024, and it's throwing me off. Um, but yeah, so I was reached out to by a company called Dehancer, and they produce some of the highest quality digital film stock emulations I've ever seen. They have plugins for editing softwares like Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, but I was more interested in looking at their photography plugins for Lightroom and Photoshop. I've been playing around with those for the last week or so, and I'm currently working on a review video. Um, for that. It's been really really interesting. I was very excited not just to get a sponsorship, but that it was a company that I actually knew about and knew was legit. It wasn't some weird off color thing you've never even heard of. Um,
or something
that's like,
that's
oh
totally irrelevant.
yeah, or like something that's totally irrelevant to me. They reached out to me via email and they were like, "Hey, we found you on YouTube and we'd love to offer you access to our suite of tools and stuff like that, so that you can do a review video." And so I did my due diligence. I vetted the company. Like, I'd heard of them before, and a lot of cinematographers that I follow and that I trust have used them. So I wasn't worried about them not being legit. But it was a very interesting experience navigating through landing the first sponsorship or brand deal um, for my YouTube channel. And uh, honestly, it's just really exciting because I've been doing this YouTube thing for a while, and now I'm slowly starting to see
Results.
the yeah, I'm slowly starting to see the machine pick up. I've started actually making uh, positive income um, from affiliate programs like Amazon. Um, I'm an Amazon affiliate. I've started making some positive income from that, just a little bit, but every little bit is something. And then landing this sponsorship or brand deal. I haven't 100% figured out the difference between uh, a sponsorship and a brand deal, but whichever of those two this is, I've landed one and I'm quite excited about it. So the machine is slowly starting to work, but I've also landed some client work uh, recently. In fact, I have a gig this weekend. I was setting up for it earlier today. We're doing a studio shoot, um, shooting some promotional video content for a company here in town that's just getting started up, and they wanted to do video content for an investor pitch and whatnot, and that is something that I think if this gets like absolutely knocked out of the park and looks awesome, is something that could turn into a consistent like retainer client,
That'd be
um,
awesome.
which would be very very nice.
And
So
it's all in the business kind of space too with investors and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's very like we're just on my end with what I've been trying to do in business and YouTube, and I'm working on an ebook right now as well that I can put out that provides value that I can sell for not a lot of money. I want it to be accessible to you know basically anybody, um, and so it's really really neat seeing uh, the machine that I've been putting together for years and messing up and forgetting parts or stuff like that I've been trying to build over the last few years, and it's finally I feel like slowly starting to gain traction and momentum just little by little, but it is very encouraging to see that actively starting to happen.
yeah. It's the little things that really keep you going. You know, it's like you could be discontent about like not being exactly where you want to be, but I think like those little tiny victories, like they can be as small as like getting like everything on your to-do list done for the day. Like
Yeah,
they're that's awesome. But it's also to see like that the cog is turning for you because it's been in the process for such a long time, and YouTube is like from what I've heard, it's like, and I guess a little bit of personal experience. I mean, I've never even got over like 100 subscribers, but it's all about like it's just the the first like 100 subscribers are really hard if they're not your friends, and then after that, your first 1,000 is still really hard, and
yeah,
then it gets easier as it kind of goes. Is what I've heard. Like if you keep the train rolling,
yeah.
so it's just like that initial like period when no one's watching you, no one's noticing what you're doing, but then once like it all just builds up, and then hopefully for you it really just catches a lot of traction, gets some grip, and takes off.
It's in a lot of the circles that I've been a part of for a long time, at least with like YouTube and content creation, photography, cinematography, the whole like visual field and all that. What I've heard over and over and over and over and over again is your first 1,000 subscribers are the hardest. Um, like that is the hardest in terms of gaining them, but like once you gain them, it gets easier.
I
Um,
I truthfully believe that, like
yeah,
in most cases.
yeah, and from personal experience, that's what I've seen. Like once I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, I think I'm at like 1,030 something now, and I haven't really done anything to get more. Like I've posted more videos, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like a lot of it. It's not passive. Like that's not really the right way to say it, but it almost feels semi-passive because
Mm-hmm.
you like my current schedule is trying. I haven't been super super great at it this year so far because I've been sick a lot and all that. But I was trying to do the one video a week schedule and stick to it. I'm trying to stick to it as much as I possibly can. Um, and so I've just basically been sticking to my weekly schedule as close as I can, and trying to make the best videos that I can with what I have. And I've been growing, but I'm not doing anything other than what I normally do, and as a result, the the growth for my channel feels semi passive in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's like set in stone what you do, and then it's
Yeah,
it feels like it's passive because it's growing, but you haven't really changed that much.
yeah. Like I think the part is the fact that like I'll go to bed, I'll look at my subscriber count, I'll go to bed, and I'll wake up in the morning and it'll be higher than it was, and all I did was go to bed. Just like post my one video a week, make sure it's as good as it can be and provides value and is genuinely helpful to other people. And like you do that and it just grows. Like
Heck yeah,
so
man.
yeah, that's kind of how the business has been for me since our last episode. Um, it's been quite good in a weird like slow way. The rest of this week is a little wild for me. I have meetings with people literally every day for the rest of this week. Um, and I'm working on trying to get a review video out for the folks over at Dehancer, which I really want to get out this week. There's a chance it might not happen this week because the weather's been crappy and there's stuff that I need to shoot outdoors in order to pull this off. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're doing what we're doing. But to get back to the main like topic of this of this podcast episode, mentorship, um, and just how important is it? Let's start with you, Dan. Since you're relatively new into the like entrepreneurship business space, uh, who and like who has been a mentor for you, and like what resources have you found that have really helped your business?
Whew. Um, where to start? Uh, I would say the well, when I first started off, I actually really didn't have one. Well, no, that's not true. Before I started, my parents suggested to me, and I wasn't fond of the idea, but looking back, it definitely gave me some clarity. And once you get older, you kind of do realize what Mama said was right. So, but
That's a fact.
um, uh, Mom said that I should go and talk to. He actually was our neighbor at the time. He lived just a house over from us, and he was a realtor. And since I'm still wanting to be in the real estate space, that I should go talk to him uh, about it. And it was pretty hard actually. And this isn't by any means like anything negative on him, but he was so busy at the time that it was really hard to get it, and it was kind of discouraging because I tried other people too to like
Yeah,
ask and get time with to talk about this. But he gave me a sentence that I actually will never forget when I finally got to meet with him, and he said, uh, "Through your persistence, you won the day," which was awesome to hear because like I kept like messaging him. Like it was a week, it was every week, and I was being persistent, even though I felt like I was bothering him, and there was many times where I didn't want to do it. He said, sorry I didn't get to you as fast as I wanted to, but through your persistence, you won the day, and that's something I think I'm going to stand with for the test of time because I truthfully believe in that. Like through persistence and constant effort, you win the day. So his name's Adam Don. He's a realtor in Orange City, Iowa. So if you're ever looking at a house down there, go and check him out. He's a super nice guy. And so that was my first. He talked to me about all sorts of things like should I quit my job and just start pursuing this right away, or should I do it part time, uh, and whatnot. So he was definitely a mentor, and he's still someone that I plan to reach out with. I just haven't been in the real estate space a ton recently, which is kind of unfortunate, but I do technically still consider him a mentor because he's like, anytime you need anything, pick up the phone and call me, and we'll get this sorted out. So, super awesome guy. Then I would say me and Paul almost feel like we're on the same level, but Paul, since you have been on the game a little bit earlier than me. There's some things where it's like that I've asked like for input and stuff from you, and you've been a huge help. So that's another one.
yeah. You've been like, hey, should I? And I'm like, no, I made that mistake. Don't.
Yeah, just the basic little things. Um, and then I have a mentor through my sales program, and this is actually where it gets crazy, and I need to get better. This is I need to get better about asking for help and asking for input from people, because I feel like I'm always a bother to people, but I'm not. But maybe I am. But I'm not going to get anywhere unless I pull a couple strings. So, but my current mentor at the moment, she's with our sales whatnot, and she actually makes really really good money, and she has 3 kids, and so she doesn't have all the time in the world, and she's actually a 7-figure yearly earner with this, which is actually massive. Like, I
Is, is
never
she the
thought.
one, is she the one that you were telling me clears on average like 1.6 a year?
Yeah, she clears, like, I think before taxes, like 1.3, 1.4
Gotcha,
a
gotcha.
year, which is
That's
crazy.
pretty good.
Yeah, so she's excellent. She's been a mentor, and she's been awesome about, because I'm not the only like person she's mentoring, especially when you're at that scale. You kind of like
Yeah.
have a lot of people. So she made this like Telegram group chat. We all talk in there, almost daily, or try to do it daily, about what's working, what's not, and then she tries to throw an input in there, and she does weekly check-ins with us. Super awesome. It's awesome to have a mentor who's willing to put that much time and effort into their people, and not just kind of like spew some knowledge and walk away. But that's not that that's not appreciated either. But it's like, this is awesome, and I need to take more advantage of it. Truthfully, so.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that a little bit. I'm in a position with this gig that I'm currently doing where like I'm the DP and the onset like shoot director. DP, for those of you who don't know, is director of photography. Um, but like I'm the DP and the onset director um, for this project, and it's really interesting because this is the first time since like the first time that I, as a business owner and a service provider, have been in this situation where, yes, I'm the on-set director, but there's other people doing the editing. There's other people like there's a guy that's the creative director for the whole project, and like I am like I'm just directing this one part. I'm used to being the guy that like I come in and it's just me and I am doing everything.
Mm,
Um, and so it's been interesting to not necessarily be in that position this time. But in order to make sure I was pulling this off, I was asking questions of people. I was doing research um, over the last day or so to make sure that I was on my A game. Going back to a lot of the resources that really helped me get going um, as a DP. I've been part of. I'm sure there's probably going to be some people out there that listen to this that are familiar with it. I've been part of the full time filmmaker online community basically ever since it got going in 2018 or whenever that was. Um, and that was where I learned, like, I actually properly started to learn cinematography, started to learn the like hierarchy of how things work on set, um, and how, basically how to do your job when you're in this position.
mm-hmm.
And um, Parker Walbeck and Landon, by the way, those two really were mentors for me through the entirety of my business so far. But it's been really neat going back and looking at the things that they made and the things that they taught for people who are in the position where I am now. Going back and like refreshing my my knowledge and my skill set on cinematography, on set etiquette, on dealing with and working with creative directors and editors and all that, instead of just being the one guy that wears all the hats. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure
it's
that posts some communication, like, things you've never probably had to engage with before. Some
well,
challenges per se.
Yeah, they are like in terms of like working that way. Um, that is something I've done before, but I haven't done that since film school,
Mm-hmm.
uh, back in 2019, and so uh, I kind of needed like a little bit of a refresher. But it's honestly with mentorship, having something or someone that you can come back to and ask questions, or some material that your mentor has made that you can refer back to on your own time, um, to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, so to speak, when it comes to actually doing things. The value of mentorship, I feel like, cannot be understated in any way, shape, or form, because it gives you access to someone or something, be that a person directly or something that that person has created to help you, um, to be able to get answers to the very specific questions that you have when you need them. And as a result, you end up failing a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
You end up failing a lot less. You make much more of a positive impression on clients or leads. Um, and that that directly affects, like, your reputation, and how likely you are to get recommended, like word of mouth, by people that you've worked for to other people. And I feel like it's very important.
Yeah, definitely for sure. It's that's like a huge thing with I watched a lot of videos of like just interviews with people who've been in spaces for a long time, and like the insight that they share they gain over 20, 30, 40 years, or even if it's just a few of really good years. It's just like you'd be a fool to not utilize what you're learning, I feel like. And
Exactly.
because you you're not the smartest guy in the room, especially with people who've been doing it for so long. And so just like take what you can and use that to your advantage. Like the human race where we're at right now would not be where we're at technologically or anything else if we didn't piggyback off of the giants before us.
Exactly.
Like
And like learning from somebody who has experience, and being able to, as my dad always says, learn from the knots on someone else's head,
uh-huh.
um, is criminally underrated nowadays, because like learning by experience from somebody who has experience is always going to be more beneficial than learning from like a textbook, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. I
or
love
or trying or trying to just like Google stuff and piece things together on your own. Can you do that? Yes, you can, but it's just going to take way longer and have a lot more like
repercussions.
repercussions and pitfalls that you can fall into.
Yeah, it's you, you need to utilize that, I feel like, just to really get an advantage and an upper hand on yourself and on your competition or what else there is. The one thing I love to hear people say is like, I was watching a video today, and this guy was like, "Yeah, I used to be homeless. Now I own 5 restaurants, like 10 million a year." Um, and he's like, and they're like, "Did you go to school?" He's like, "No, I didn't go to school." He's like, "I just when I was in a low spot, I got out of it and whatnot." He's like, "Well, my kids want to go to school for business," and he told them like straight up to his kids, he's like, "If you want to learn business, learn from me, be by my side, and I'll teach you." Because like he said he had like a short time in college and had a business teacher, and said like, you know, the business teacher was a business teacher for 40 years but never owned a business.
Yeah, that's literally was going to be my next point. Was like, honestly, I find college, especially for stuff like that, to be kind of useless, because I'm like, okay, this guy's a business professor. Okay, cool. Has he owned a business? No. Okay, well then I don't care.
It's just like regurgitating information, and it just gets more and more bland and kind of
Watered down.
yeah, watered down and like, well, duh, it's like your business is in a profit when your graph looks like this. It's like,
You're
no,
like,
duh.
yeah, when your graph looks like this, your business is profiting. Okay, cool, but how do I get my graph to look like that?
It's like, well,
You
get more
know?
clients. How do I do that? It's also important, I feel like it's underrated, because as awesome as YouTube and stuff is out there right now for like finding stuff and how you can like it will speed you up by trying to instead of just trying to do everything by yourself. But I think it's also important to have like a personal, like try to get personal with a mentor, because
Yeah.
then you can understand your exact like down to your exact way you're feeling. And it can be a lot more than just like a business mentorship. You can be like, man, I'm stressed out, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or whatnot. Or they can, because us as humans communicate in so many different variety of ways, and having a personal connection with someone makes it a lot that much easier to understand. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's gonna really set you up even more. But I think that's just another underrated point. Not that you have to do that, because I know like there's some people probably out there who don't know anyone or can't get in contact with anyone that's native in their space, and that you have to use just just use the internet, or like
Yeah.
go into like going down to the deep dark depths of the internet and go to Reddit or whatever and ask like and ask people, like go into just subreddits and ask people for help, and you know because
Yeah.
they can answer some more personal questions that you might not get otherwise by just like looking it up in Google. So
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I mean, honestly, we've covered all the points that we had written down for this episode, but I feel like one more like elephant in the room that should be dealt with, because I know there's people out there that are going to be like, "Oh, but I can't do the whole mentorship thing because everyone I see online that offers that, it's like, courses or like a mentorship program that costs hundreds if not thousands of dollars, and like I just can't do that." Here's the thing. I feel like a lot of those people who like, "Okay, I will mentor you in how to do X business," when the fact of the matter is their business is mentoring you about some other kind of business, you know?
mm-hmm.
And to be perfectly honest, it's not as hard as you think it is to find a mentor. You don't have to fork out ridiculous amounts of cash. You can find someone, like honestly, even just via Instagram or the internet. Find, like, let's say real estate. You Google real estate in your area, or you ask family and friends. They're like, "Hey, do you guys know? Like I want to get into real estate. Do you happen to know anybody?" And then they might be able to refer you to someone, or you find someone online in your local area, and you can call them and literally just be like, "Hey, I know this is a little out of the blue, and I'm sorry about that, but this is who I am. This is like what I do." Or whatnot, but I'm really interested in getting involved in the real estate space, and I want to ask someone who's in the real estate space already for like questions or advice. And I can't let like it, as long as you keep reaching out to somebody, you have to try a few times, but I guarantee you someone will go, "Yeah, I've got time, let's meet up, let's have a cup of coffee."
Yeah.
And I would be happy to answer any questions you have. Like, I've had people ask me, like, photography questions, lighting questions, stuff like that, and I don't go, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll answer your questions, but pay me like $900 first and join my email list and blah 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 blah." Like, get that BS out of here, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
someone's like, "Hey, I have questions." I'm like, "Cool, let's meet up, let's have a cup of coffee, let's what have you." And if you're having a hard time with something, like, I can explain it to you, I can help you figure it out. Now, yes, this can eventually become an income stream. Like, you can monetize your knowledge with like
Yeah. And
ebooks
mass
and
scale it and
courses,
stuff. Yeah.
like, and mass scale it. But if I like, that's where I'm wanting to go. I want to eventually, like, monetize my knowledge and mass scale it, as a business. But even after I get to that point, like courses, ebooks, what have you, I haven't fully decided how I'm going to do it yet. But even after I get to that point where I'm making a lot of money a year on sharing my knowledge and helping people learn things and educating people, if some rando comes to me and doesn't know that I do any of that sort of stuff, they're like, "Hey, I don't understand this concept. I'm having trouble figuring it out," I will 100% just be like, "You know what, I got you." And I will sit down with them and I will answer their questions. I'm not going to direct them to this thing that's going to pull money out of them.
Yeah, exactly. And
And so when people were like, I can't find a mentor because they're all expensive, like, bro, ask your friends and family if they know someone who does what you're interested or wanting to do, and then contact that person. Or if they don't know somebody, then search in your local area, find someone who's rated really, really well. I mean, like, just Google search and do a little bit of reading. Find someone and contact them. You might have to contact them a few times or contact a few different people, but somebody somewhere is is going to be like, "Hey, I got you."
yeah, yeah, you gotta.
So
Yep, your persistence wins the day type stuff for sure. I'm
exactly,
gonna keep using
exactly.
that.
Yeah, the
But
the layman's version of that is the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
yep. Yeah, it's uh, there's without a doubt important that you guys try to get a mentor. But if you can't even do that, like just use the free stuff that's online. Like, and that you can be in a sense mentorship. But you, and also like I think a lot of people like try to get like they go for the big dogs right away. Like they're messaging uh,
Don't do that, folks.
like they're messaging with Warren Buffett for like he's not gonna see your message, bro. Like it's just the way it
Yeah,
is for investing advice. Like go to the small people, like the people with 1,000 followers, 500. You know they if they're a little bit further than you, and you can tell that just by their content or the way that they are, like then that's at least a step you can take, like an actionable step. You don't need to go to the big dogs right away. And also,
yeah,
like truthfully, those big guys are gonna lay out some knowledge that is just like kind of hard to comprehend and pick apart in an easy way. Um, Starting off, people are gonna, because I feel like when with like the really really big guys, they give either really broad advice or when they do talk about like advice about other different things in the business space, that it's like such like they got there like within the last couple of years or whatnot, and you'd have no experience, like you have no idea how to get there. Talk to someone who's like only a few steps ahead of you, maybe, I think would also
yeah,
be a really good move, because then you're kind of like you're getting the groundwork at least a little bit ahead, and you're not like you know you're not trying to go in the NBA with 1 year of middle school basketball experience. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Exactly. You won't be drinking from a fire hose. You'll be drinking from a normal glass, like normal people.
Yeah, and that's not to say that people that are big don't have good advice. I mean, you should always be listening to them. I mean, there's a reason they're big, but it's like, yeah, you also try to get the next step. I think a lot of people think of the end terms. Try to get the next step, which is a huge thing for I think mentorship, and well, at least what I'm getting, because like when I talk to Adam and whatnot, he's like, he started. I thought he was going to talk to me about like how do realtors like scale, or how do they get big, or how do like how much money do you make? But he was like, dude, do you want to work and do this at the same time? Do you want to do it full time, or whatnot? And or like what makes you think you'd be good for this line of work? Like he was giving me the next step,
Yeah,
not telling me like this is what you should say to almost try to close everybody or whatnot. Like he wasn't like giving me advice that I can't use right away. You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
think that's
I
a
feel like. Sorry.
that's a huge point. I believe like no worries, but I think it's like a huge point of like having a personal mentorship. Is like they get you and they get where you're at, like as you as a person, and they're gonna give you a direct a direct road to follow. Like they will, if you ask for it, they will give you the next step.
Yeah, like I think one of the best pieces of advice would be a good mentor is someone who will teach you how to go forward from where you are, not how to get to where they are immediately.
Yeah, yeah,
And because like a lot of times I feel like a lot of people don't even know to look for that, because people are like, oh, I want to be the one making $50 million a year right now. But if you find someone that's like, yeah, I make $50 million a year, and here's how to get to where I am, you'll be like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. But that doesn't tell me what the next step is. That just tells me the big overarching picture of what I should be doing, not the specifics on how to grow from where I am right now.
yeah. Like maybe
So
find the guy who's making 3K, 5K a month, and you're not making anything, or you're losing money because you're spending money on things that aren't really growing. Like there's and they'll be like, yeah, this is what I do, and you'll see, and you'll be able to gain and whatnot, and then you can. And if you eventually get better and faster than your mentor, you can scale and find another one, and then you'll at least have a network of people that you've gone along with and stuff. You know,
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of people who pass up the people that they were once underneath, and that's just normal with that. And with being a mentor, they're probably aware of that. But it's like, I think truthfully, people have a lot of business people. I think a lot of people just, well, business people in general just get a lot of slam because they're like, oh, they're selfish, money, money eating scoundrels. But truthfully, a lot of them were pretty dark spots, and they get you better than most. And so
Yeah.
they're gonna want to help you because
An honest business person started with a problem that they wanted to solve, and so they figured out how to solve it, and then they figured out how to bring the solution to market.
yeah, exactly.
Like that's really what it is. And so if you're wanting to get into business, find a problem and figure out a way to solve that problem. And then when it comes to bringing that solution to market, that's where you find people who are one, two, three steps ahead of you. And you're like, hey, I have this, like, this is what I do. This is the problem that I solve. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to effectively bring this to market. But I see that you have just successfully done that with your business. What are you doing? Like how did you do that? And very like the ones who are like, oh yeah, but you gotta like the ones that go, oh, let me give you like the big picture, and they don't try to meet you where you're at. Kind of feel like the selfish ones
Mm-hmm.
because like they know because they were where you are, but instead they're trying to they're telling you how to get to where they are without considering taking into account where you are right now.
Yeah, but
And
that's
as a
also,
result,
yeah,
that just doesn't do anything for you
yeah,
in the short or long term, honestly.
yeah.
It just gets you more overwhelmed and confused, and then you quit.
I'd say when picking like big people like that, like stick with two or three,
Yeah,
because you're gonna get overwhelmed so fast trying to figure out who the next big guru is. Like, stick with somebody, and that's not to say that they can't still give advice. Like, there's some people that are big and they give some pretty good like mindset advice, because mindset is something you can take and engage in right now, and you'll probably still be using 20, 30 years later and stuff. Not to
yeah,
say that, I mean, there's bound to be good apples and there's bound to be bad apples, regardless if they're in the top 1% or not. That might not give you the advice you're looking for, and truthfully, they might just not have the time for you, or might not believe in you. Like, who is it? The guy that Warren Buffett was underneath. He asked to be asked the guy to be his mentor, and the guy said, "You're too expensive." He's like, I'll be under you for free. He's like, I'll do anything you ask for free. I just want to be under you. And the guy said, "You're too expensive," because it was just like the value of time for that guy. So you it might seem like they're being rude, but it's also just like, find the next step. Stop trying to, like, I would say, don't try to just find the end goal and then try to figure out the middle. Figure out the next spot where you're gonna be. So
exactly. Like I because the machine that is my business has just started working. I'm at this point probably only making a couple hundred extra a month, maybe. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But because of that, I am going to go find the guy who's making like 3 to 4 thousand a month, and I'm going to ask him questions. And then once I'm making 3 to 4 thousand a month, I'm going to find the guy who's making 10,000 a month and ask him questions. And I'm going to making 10. I'm going to find the guy who's making 20. Stuff like that. I'm not going to go, oh, I'm making $200 a month extra, so I'm going to go find the guy that is making 200K a month. Like, no, that's stupid.
yeah, yep. Unless they're 1% and they're gonna help you with your next spot and they have the time to do that, it's gonna
Yeah,
be very, very hard for you to grow. I feel like, unless they give you actionable first steps. So yeah, just look for the actionable first step. Find the guy who's just a step ahead of you, and grow with them, and then it's like scaling a business. I mean, it's scaling your knowledge. So
yeah.
Well, that's about everything we have on our agenda today. So we want to thank you guys for listening. Of course, we're just two dudes and we're learning as well. So maybe what we're saying now, we might bite the bullet later. Who knows? But we want to thank you guys for tuning in and learning with us as we kind of navigate our entrepreneurship journey. So, yeah. Any other final
Yeah.
words, Paul?
Not that I can think of, other than go find somebody who knows more than you do, but not too much more than you do, and pick their brain, ask them questions, uh, continue to grow, and then just repeat the process. That is, I feel, how you like actually win at business, is not doing it all by yourself, and also not surrounding yourself with people that are so high level that they just overwhelm you. So
Yeah, you'll get there
just put,
eventually, but
yeah,
you need to think tactically and yeah, can't play NBA with middle school basketball experience.
exactly. It's one foot in front of the other.
All right then. Well, we want to thank you guys for listening. We're gonna try to be as consistent as we can, uploading every Wednesday. I know we said Wednesday at noon, but we've been having some schedule difficulties. But we want to thank you guys for your patience and whatnot, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Take care,
Peace.
folks.